Hello everyone, welcome to What's Missing. Today, we'll be looking at whether Donald Trump opposes human trafficking. Now, I wanted to talk about this because according to the QAnon conspiracy movement, they believe Donald Trump has made significant efforts to challenge the trafficking trade. From what I understand though, Trump has a mixed record on this issue, considering his policy and friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. This leads me to ask, what has Trump done to prove that he opposes trafficking? Well, to start us off, let's look at an executive order published January 2020, stating an explicit intent to prosecute traffickers. To his supporters, this order functions as the proof they need to characterize Donald Trump as wholly and completely dedicated to the fight against trafficking. In addition to that order, he also talked about appointing a new representative to the Domestic Policy Council, a position that would oversee anti-trafficking policy. Now, I have to admit, both these announcements do represent Trump in a positive light. Despite this, however, I think it's important to consider the fact that action speaks louder than words. Though Trump has spoken about this issue, there is significant evidence that his administration failed to oppose trafficking to the same extent as previous administrations. One source we can point to, the State Department Trafficking in Persons reports, illustrates this failure completely. Compared to the Obama administration, the reports indicate a steady decline in trafficking prosecutions. Some have noted that this decline could be the result of less trafficking overall, right? Well, when examining these reports, we find that the Department of Justice had significantly cut anti-trafficking task force funding, from $16 million to just $3 million in Trump's first year. While funding did return to normal levels in 2018, please consider that this initial drastic decrease likely impacted these task forces for years to come. Now, I believe a Trump-era decline in prosecutions should stand as a criticism of his administration and the government overall. We cannot, however, use this fact as a personal criticism of Trump. He is partly responsible, but so is Attorney General William Barr, as well as state officials who supported this decision. Instead of blaming one man, we should acknowledge that conservative interests in making government cheaper ended up weakening the state's ability to oppose this criminal enterprise. A cheap government will not be an effective one. Because of these actions, I find it hard to believe that the Trump administration actually sympathizes with victims of trafficking. Trump-era restrictions on the T visa only further convinced me of this point. Now, I feel I should explain that the T non-immigrant visa is a way for trafficking victims to find refuge on U.S. soil while their captors undergo prosecution. A new Trump-era restriction, however, resulted in fewer people having access to the T visa, which translated to fewer prosecutions and fewer victims escaping their traffickers. Trump does have an excuse for why he did this, as claimed by another executive order regarding foreign terrorists. According to him, new barriers to the T visa and increased border restrictions in general were intended to improve national security. Now, I've already made a video about Trump and Obama's immigration policies, which focused on criticizing ICE and its record for deporting Latino U.S. citizens. These restrictions on the T visa strike me as a reflection of this same anti-foreign sentiment inspired by prejudice. Trump may not be explicitly helping traffickers, but either way, it is clear that he does not care about foreign trafficking victims. There is one aspect of this situation that makes me think Trump might personally bear a malicious intent here. That being the simple fact that he approved T visa restrictions at all. Traffickers have been manipulating the visa system for decades, but the T visa was explicitly designed for helping victims of trafficking. I could not find any evidence of traffickers using this visa to smuggle their victims, likely because the T visa requires a trafficker to face prosecution. When paired with a decline in trafficking prosecutions, I personally feel very critical of Trump's supposed fight against the slave trade, as he called it. This is merely my position based on the evidence I could find, though. If you have any resources that contradict me, I hope you post them in the comments below. I'm always happy to talk about politics, and I hope this video provided you with a basic overview on this subject. My advice to you is, do not trust what people say, look at their actions, study what evidence is available, and hopefully you will find the truth. This has been What's Missing. Have a nice day.